Teaching diary for 27th of November 2015. Today I had, first I had pre-intermediate group and they had a test. I had double lesson with them. So the first lesson they had a test, like end of unit test. It was quite serious for them, quite difficult I think. So the second lesson I planned a kind of fun lesson, something a bit more kinetic or more relaxing, let's say, not just going straight into the next unit of the book. And it was to do with TV, so I put on the board, write down 10 different kinds of programs, so categories, like soap opera, documentary, reality show, quiz, all these kind of things. They worked in groups for about 10 minutes and they came up with these, and we put them on the board, and we had more than 10, we had about 15. And next they had to think of a Polish TV show which matched each group, and they could do this. They did this about 5 minutes or so. I took the oral feedback from the group to keep it going, keep the pace going. And then what I wanted to get to was working with an English text, a real genuine English text, which is from a TV guide. I think it was from last year or last summer, from the Radio Times. And you can see it was for Friday. Main channels, BBC One, BBC Two. So they had this, they had a few copies in each group, and maybe not enough copies, because I didn't photocopy enough. That was a mistake. And then I said, can you find programs, English programs in different categories? So can you find a quiz, comedy program, documentary, and so on? They couldn't find a comedy program because it wasn't very clear. So if I'd planned it better, I wouldn't have used this as the first activity. But I told them the answer, Room 101, but it doesn't say anything about comedy. Maybe it's not that funny. And it was quite good. So they're reading for specific information. They're picking out different parts from here. I was walking around encouraging them to find them. And then we had a quiz. So they're in 5 groups. It's a massive group of 23, usually 24 Polish students, 16-year-olds. It's a huge group and it's too big and the room's too small, but we have to do it. We have to manage. And I put on the board 5 lines, or put the lines so there were 5 columns. And I asked questions and the students had to run to the board, write down in their column, write the answer, and it was fun. So, for example, what time is Eggheads on? They had to run and write down 6 o'clock or 6 p.m. Tell me a reality show. Tell me 3 American shows. That was difficult for them, really. But it was good. They're reading a real text, something different from the course book, something they got from me, from England, something genuine and real. Of course, it's nice for me to see this kind of text, not only Polish magazines all the time. What was the downside? I think they were tired. I mean, it was double lesson at 8 o'clock in the morning. So they had the test and they were very tired after that. So this didn't work as well as I wanted it to. Only about 3 of the groups out of 5 were really active. One was the most active and competitive, and they got the most points. Most stars on the board. I gave a star for each correct answer. So I noticed that some groups weren't doing anything. I encouraged them to join in, and then I changed it so that they would join in. And I said, okay, then write down the answer on your paper, and I will walk around and check it. Put your hand up when you've got it. And everybody did this. And I thought maybe they were a bit nervous about running to the board in front of everybody. You know, they're 16 years old. and a little bit embarrassed. Some of them are not at all. Well, some of them maybe were embarrassed or they thought it was a bit above them, this kind of thing. But it was a good atmosphere and good humour. In the future, maybe we would do it as a written test. But I want them to move. I want them to get out of the chair and do something. So maybe I should have rotated the person writing on the board. It should have been different each time, and force them to do that, or tell them they have to do that, and not force them. But it passed the time. It passed 45 minutes with the lead in, and then the activity. The activity was about 20 minutes. And there's more we could have done. I've got the Polish TV guide as well, and I could ask them to compare the two texts. Maybe we'll do it next week in the following lesson, or maybe not. We have to do course book and get through it. But sometimes we've got time for a fun lesson like today, especially after a test. So it was good. I recommend it. This is an activity I used to do in Derby when I was working there with ESL. I had a lot of refugees and asylum seekers running to the board and writing down things like, probably in those days, the weakest link instead of eggheads. But exactly the same activity. So it was fun, and but we can't do that every lesson or every week. And I would like the time to continue with some exploring it, compare the texts, and writing. Write a short summary of a program, write down your own listings, or maybe they'll do it for homework. And I need to adjust the way I did this lesson because didn't quite suit the group and didn't quite get everybody as motivated as I thought it would. So that's all for now. That's my teaching diary today.